The story of Michael Jackson's death was not just one of the most important stories TMZ has ever done. The story itself had a profound impact on the world. It was one of those moments, and that's happened, occasionally here at TMZ, where a story is going to resonate all over the world immediately. I knew it with Kobe Bryant, I knew it with Prince, and I certainly knew it with Michael Jackson. And I remember we all said, we're ready to publish. And I looked at my thumb and I waited 5 or 10 seconds. And I just took that moment and just thinking, I know what's going to happen here. And it was almost like a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm Harvey Levin, and this is Pop Culture History. So I'm going to take you back to June 25th, 2009.
June 25th, 2009.
June 25th, 2009. Pretty normal day at the TMZ newsroom. I mean, yes, there was another huge celebrity death.
We got a huge story. Farrah Fawcett had died. Farrah Fawcett was one of the biggest television stars in TV history. She was a force in pop culture. Farrah Fawcett had struggles. She was struggling with cancer, and it was well chronicled. She had gone to another country to get treatment. People were rooting for her, and her death had a seismic impact on this country.
That was clearly going to be the biggest story of the day, and we had posted that on the website.
And I remember I got this phone call. I get a call from a paparazzi agency, and it's one of my buddies that works there, and just says, hey Dax, just to let you know, there's an ambulance at Michael Jackson's big old mansion in Holmby Hills. Don't know what's going on. We got photos of it, so if that's something that maybe you guys can find an angle to, you could buy our photos. Like, such a nonchalant tip of just, if something happens, let us know. You get tips all the time about ambulances or something happening at a home, but it doesn't turn out to be the celeb.
So June of 2009, there was already a lot of attention on Michael Jackson for a couple of reasons. He had decided to do this world tour, the This Is It tour.
Yes, I remember he came out and did a whole huge press conference, and they kind of paraded him around in London.
These will be my final show performances in London. This will be it. This is it. And when I say this is it, it really means this is it.
He said this was going to be the biggest tour of his life, and it was going to be his farewell to his fans. And so fans were really craving this. We hadn't seen a lot of Michael Jackson. He's always been kind of, distant. He's been very private, and this was the moment that he was opening back up to the world.
He was in the middle of rehearsals for that, and everyone was very excited about the opportunity to see Michael Jackson in what a lot of people thought might be his final tour ever.
It's pretty simple why Michael Jackson ended up doing the deal with AEG and signing on for This Is It. He was in a ton of debt. The guy was constantly spending. I don't know how many videos have been circulated of him, going into stores and clearing them out of everything, and stories of him just owing millions and millions of dollars. So there was a lot of financial pressure for him to sign up with AEG and do the This Is It tour. I think with Michael, it was just a constant revolving door of in debt, perform, make lots of money, out of debt.
Remember, I put the phone down and I stood up and I just yelled across the room, hey Harvey, I just got a call. It sounds like there's an ambulance at Michael Jackson's house. I don't know what's happening. They don't know what's happening. Can we make some calls?
The fact that Michael went to the hospital, it was just another hospital visit the way we saw it. But of course, we wanted to do our due diligence.
I picked up the phone and called a source to see if I could figure out what the call was and who called. And the person on the other end of the line said that it was a 50-year-old male and it was cardiac arrest. And I dropped my phone right here on my desk and I just stood up. You were in the back and I just went running over there and said, Harvey, you gotta get over here.
The second that the medical emergency is for the celeb himself, that's when stuff starts to go crazy in the newsroom.
We sprung into action in a way that I have rarely seen in a newsroom anywhere. we hit a lot of brick walls. There were a lot of people who didn't know anything, or if they knew anything, they weren't going to say.
I reached out to one of my sources who was deeply, deeply connected. And I said, hey, this is what's going on. We know that there's an ambulance at the house. We don't know what exactly is happening. Can you get me any information? Click. A couple minutes go by, phone rings. Hey, find out anything? Dax, Michael Jackson is dead. And I was like, what? And I remember being like, Harvey, put your phone down. Michael Jackson is dead. And he said, what? And I said, he's gone. He is legit gone. He was dead before even going in the ambulance. And I remember him looking at me in the eyes and just saying, do you trust this source?
You can't do a story like that until you have it absolutely nailed down. Remember, we were only 4 years old at the time, TMZ. And the last thing we're going to do is go out on a limb and overstate what Michael Jackson's actual condition is, because the reality is he was at UCLA Medical Center. So even though anecdotally we were told that the paramedics thought he was dead, that doesn't mean he was. And we don't know whether they were able to find a pulse or something like that, or revive him. So we just kept plugging away.
You can't get it wrong. You have to make sure you have everything buttoned up.
And as we were getting information back in dribs and drabs, again, it became pretty obvious to us Michael Jackson was dead.
Harvey, I remember looking at Harvey's desk, and he is looking over the posts that had been written. He's adding the details that we've just gotten, and he looks around the room and says, okay, are we all comfortable? We all are solid that we have this story.
And Harvey looked me in the eyes and he says, how much do you trust this source? And I said, 100%. This is the most solid source. I promise you, this information is completely accurate.
And everyone was comfortable with the information we had gathered, and Harvey said, okay, I'm gonna publish.
That was one of the biggest stories we've ever posted. And it was an interesting moment because I remember being at my computer when we knew the story was good to go. And I had to hit a button to publish the story. And, it was one of those moments, and that's happened, occasionally here at TMZ, where a story is going to resonate all over the world immediately. I knew it with Kobe Bryant. I knew it with Prince. And I certainly knew it with Michael Jackson. And I remember we all said, we're ready to publish. And I looked at my thumb and I waited 5 or 10 seconds. I just took that moment and just thinking, I know what's going to happen here. And it was almost like a 5, 4, 3, 2. 1.
TMZ was the first to report news of Jackson's death.
It's TMZ that first reported Jackson had died.
Tell me what happened. Give me the timeline.
We got a tip very, very quickly that there was an ambulance dispatched to his home. And then we just did what we do, which is good old-fashioned reporting.
Who called the paramedics? How long was he lying there or whatever? I mean, what happened in that house before that call?
Great question. And we have one story that we haven't published yet, and we're trying to confirm this about a whole scenario that happened inside the house, and it's an interesting one. When paramedics arrived, and they actually talked about cardiac arrest and the fact that it was really looking grim. They could not revive him.
And of course, these new reports about drug usage by TMZ are raising serious questions about the doctor who was apparently treating Jackson and some potential prescription drug abuse. Could that doctor eventually be facing serious charges?
About 4 or 5 minutes after we posted the story, the Los Angeles Times came out with a conflicting story saying Michael Jackson was not dead, that Michael Jackson was in a coma.
And the LA Times obviously is the LA Times. They've been around for a very long time. They have a lot of sources in Los Angeles. And there were people outside of our office who saw the LA Times story and were contacting us saying like, wait, are you guys sure?
We posted the story and no one else could do it. There was no one getting confirmation. No one could get accurate information. There were other news sites, CNN and other large media outlets, basically saying that our stories were false, they were inaccurate.
And obviously we were sure, but you now have this competition between an upstart news organization like TMZ, which had been around at that point for 4 years, compared to the LA Times.
What would other news operations do? Would they cite TMZ or would they cite the Los Angeles Times? And a lot of them chose the LA Times and they were wrong.
I can tell you inside, we knew he was gone and everyone else was trying their hardest to discredit us until about 3 hours later when other people could start confirming he was gone.
That became a huge moment in TMZ's history. And that is the way other media treated TMZ after that moment in time.
You know, we felt that there was a shift in the way news was delivered, the way people were impacted by the news that we were putting out as TMZ. And I know there were a lot of outlets and news outlets covering that, but this story put TMZ in a whole new light.
Those people on that day who didn't trust us, the very next day they woke up and had to go, you know what, they did some solid reporting here. And that's why it was a game changer for us.
What people typically do, you know, when they do something like that is they take a moment or a day to reflect, but you don't do that as a news operation. What you need to do then is work on the next story. Why did Michael Jackson die? What happened? What happened at his house? There was obviously a lot to uncover.
The fact that he had died was just the first domino.
There was a doctor in Beverly Hills named Arnie Klein. He was a very famous dermatologist. And Michael Jackson went to Arnie Klein's office all the time. We got shots of Michael going into his office and then coming out and looking dazed.
Is it a good idea for doctors generally to be friends with their patients?
I can't help it because you know what? They become part of my lives because they're all part of me.
And he always sometimes would show up in like a robe, pajamas, slippers, always wearing shades and looking very out of it.
We didn't know what he was doing inside. You would think some kind of procedure, some facial, some this and that.
I mean, we would look at these videos and we would wonder, what's going on with him?
What we didn't know then, that we certainly know now, is that what Arnie Klein was doing was shooting Michael Jackson up with Demerol every single day for the last couple of months of Michael's life. Michael was a Demerol addict courtesy of Arnie Klein and other doctors.
I remember getting a call from one of the managers on the news desk, and she had told me that they were just about to publish the story that Michael had died and that I should leave the house immediately. And I went to Arnie Klein's medical office on Bedford, and this is the famed office that Michael Jackson had been visiting regularly. I actually went into the office and I informed Arnie Klein and his assistant that Michael Jackson had just passed away. I will never forget it, the look on Dr. Klein's face. He turned white as a ghost. We got he gave me a statement. He was very kind about it, but he clearly had a lot of things to sort out, I think, in the back with the records and everything, knowing that information, and so he left pretty hastily.
Michael Jackson, at least according to the paramedics who showed up at his house, he was probably dead when he was at that house before they took him away. The reason he wasn't declared dead right there and not taken to UCLA Medical Center is because there was an attending physician. The attending physician at the house was Dr. Conrad Murray, the man who had given Michael the propofol, the man who was ultimately charged and convicted of manslaughter and served prison time. So Conrad Murray would not declare Michael Jackson dead.
Jackson would get home late from rehearsals, and Conrad Murray was getting Jackson the sleep that he so badly craved. He struggled with insane insomnia. I think there was pressure from this tour. I think there's stresses with his life. I think there's stresses with being one of the most famous people on the planet that he was trying to cope with and could never get any sleep. And so that's why he was turning to drugs. He was turning to his friend, Dr. Conrad Murray, morphed from his doctor, to his friend, to his drug giver.
One of the main problems with Michael Jackson and that led to his ultimate demise was that he was surrounded by enablers and yes men. Nobody told Michael no, and everybody went to great lengths to facilitate whatever he needed.
I think what you really see here is a drug addict desperate for the medication and also just so desperate for sleep. I mean, yeah, we all know that Michael Jackson had a very strange, bizarre life. I mean, that's no secret. But I think there was a good 2-week period where it was like everywhere you turned, it was nothing but positivity, nothing but sadness because they missed his life and they are going to miss his music. But it's Michael Jackson, so there were still news stories breaking every moment about what he was doing behind closed doors, how much medication he was on. And there's just a level of fascination with Michael that I don't think I've ever seen with any other celebrity, and people couldn't get enough of it. It didn't matter how many stories were put up or how small the story was, people were craving every little detail about Michael Jackson's life.
But it was a monumental moment in 2 respects. The story itself, Michael Jackson's death, had a profound impact on the world. And we broke that story, and it was a big deal. But also, it put TMZ in an interesting place vis-a-vis journalism. That changed on June 25th, 2009.
This is it. I mean, this is really it. This is the final curtain call. Okay?
I'm Harvey Levin, and this is Pop Culture History.